Yes, it's time to rise and grind on a Wednesday morning right here on the Early Line Sirius XM channel 159. And over the next 3 hours, we have you covered on every single hot topic, breaking news. You know it, World Series Friday. NBA opens yesterday. A huge card in the NFL. NCAA action and much, much more. It's our job. Me, Donnie Rightside. He is Dubs Anderson. And we are ready to go this morning, Dubsy. How do we feel? The energy's high. I'm ready to go.
Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We are getting after it. The NBA is back. We're getting set for a World Series and week 8 in the NFL not too far away. Let's cook, Donnie. I'm in the lab. Let's get after it.
It is time to get after it. And I said, sometimes we come on the shows and we have to give you the breaking news because it's a 24/7 news cycle, and that's what SportsGrid does the best. How about this in the morning? A trade has already gone down. The Tennessee Titans have moved DeAndre Hopkins to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for a 5th-round pick. One of the worst wide receiving cores in the NFL due to injury now gets a boost with DeAndre Hopkins, Dubsy.
This is monster. Still plenty upside, plenty of class. It just hasn't worked out there at the Tennessee Titans. And surprise, surprise, at 32 years of age brings plenty of experience to that locker room. DeAndre Hopkins going to have a big impact here as soon as he gets out there on the field. So this is a fantastic addition for the Kansas City Chiefs and continues to make that push as the team to beat.
Yeah, we'll talk about this just a little bit later, like the move here and also what that means as a signal for the white flag possibly going up in Tennessee. The Chiefs absolutely needed a veteran wide receiver. They got him, and it looks like it is actually a conditional 4th-round pick in that trade. So you don't give up a lot here, but you're expecting a lot now out of DeAndre Hopkins. I like the move for the Chiefs and also signifies the end of the season for the Tennessee Titans. Now, when we talk about the end of the season, Dubsy, for the 7-7, yeah, it's the beginning of the season in the NBA. But could it be the end of the season for the rest of the league? Because the Boston Celtics looked so darn good yesterday in their 132-109 victory against the Knicks. And my goodness, the 3-point line, should it be moved back? Because the Boston Celtics were absolutely bombing away from the 3-point line last night.
29 3-pointers, record tying 132 to 109. Let's just give them banner number 19 while we're at it. That's an absolutely monster performance, and they certainly look like the team to be picking up from where they left off. And that is what happens when you snub a couple of superstars over there at the Paris Olympics. So Boston picking up where they left off. Big score.
And by the way, we are looking at that game that we're going to, sort of double down with a little bit later. You're still trying to look at that new look Knicks lineup and try to figure out where they go. But the one thing we know about the Celtics, they got their rings last night, and it looks like they're headed for even more rings in 2024, 2025. Absolutely impressive performance on night number 1. You know us was impressive as a slight underdog of the West Coast last night, Dubsy? Those Los Angeles Lakers. 110-103 victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it was basically an entire... one quarter, you had the Minnesota squad up 1 point here, the Timberwolves. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, it was basically the Lakers in a runaway at this point. Impressive effort, which included superstars playing well. LeBron James was okay, but how about Anthony Davis? 36 points, 16 boards, Dubsy.
What about LeBron and Bronny making NBA history? The father-son tandem was enough to get the Lakers over the line. Bronny, far from stuffing the old stat sheet there, but for the Lakers, we're buying in on the short game in terms of that longevity for the season outlook. I don't know, a couple of question marks, but not great for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Missing Big Cat there over at the Knicks, but the Lakers, they shine bright out here on the West Coast last night to get their season underway in flying fashion.
How about the Los Angeles Lakers winning a basketball game, going 5 of 30 from the 3-point line? How about that? So if the Lakers can improve their shooting, let's see where they wind up in this season. Now, we're talking about winding up in the season. I don't know when the Sixers season actually begins. They're telling me, Dubsy, it's a game tonight against the Milwaukee Bucks in Philadelphia, but thanks for telling Joel Embiid, yeah, we'll ramp him up. We'll reevaluate. He'll be out this week. And the same with Paul George. The excitement in Philadelphia for a new team starting up tonight certainly weakened with Embiid and Paul George not going to play for at least the next couple games apiece.
What are we doing here, Donnie? It's opening night. I mean, Paul George hyperextended his left knee last week. He's not going to be set to go. And what about the big fella, JoJo? I thought he lost all this weight in the offseason. He was trimmed down. He lost 25 pounds. He was rocking, ready to move in the right direction. Not so there for Philadelphia. Your 76ers, Donnie, they're going to have to put a little temper on those temptations moving in for a new year.
The players run the NBA. It's always been that way. I remember Joel Embiid going to an all-star game when he could have used the break but would rather go. They couldn't tell him no. Ends up, it hurts his knee a little bit more. Same thing with the Philadelphia 76ers over the summer. Joel Embiid wanted to go to the Olympics. They couldn't tell him no. So he goes to NBA training camp in the summer, a full Olympic schedule, and now he's not ready for the start of the regular season. Make it make sense out here. It just doesn't. Now, sense here, New Orleans Saints not having a great season. You better take care of your good players. Alvin Kamara, 2-year extension, gets himself some guaranteed money. If you want him to tote the rock, you better pay him the rest of the way, and the Saints did that.
$24.5 million there, little 2-year extension, and this is great news for the Saints, saving roughly right around $18 million on that 2025 salary cap. We saw earlier this year Alvin Kamara trying to turn it back vintage years, and he's still got plenty of great football ahead of him. For the Saints, they continue to struggle, but they're certainly going to need that run game if they surge in the back half of the year.
Dubsy, the trade deadline in the NFL is November 5th. A lot of guys already being moved, as we just brought you some breaking news this morning on DeAndre Hopkins. The wide receiver market certainly cooking, has some big names have changed teams, and I don't think we're down yet here. The Rams' Cooper Kupp says he's aware of the rumors ahead of his expected return on Thursday Night Football. The Rams aren't going anywhere. Cooper Kupp getting up there in age, maybe not part of the future for them, and also the Rams willing to eat a little bit of salary to move on. They're looking for a second-round pick, so Cooper Kupp could be the next big-name wide receiver, Dubsy, to change teams.
31 years of age, injured that ankle there in week 2, and still one of, more efficient wide receivers in the league. Plenty of upside here. For me, the Rams, I was hoping they could try and get things sorted and move forward with Cooper Kupp, but it doesn't look like it's going to be, and it's a sign of the times. You win a Super Bowl, we see these effects the next 3-4 years to follow suit. So not great news there for Cooper Kupp, who's getting set to suit up Thursday Night Football. Welcome back. Let's show up with a big performance.
Yeah, we'll see, because if they can pick up a win over what I think is a better Minnesota Vikings team, maybe that could stop those rumors. But if they lose, it's going to be on. Puka Nacua is coming back in a couple weeks. He's the future wide receiver. They're even hearing some rumors on Matthew Stafford. How founded they are, who knows? We'll check into that stuff. But a lot of things happening in the NBA. But you know what else is going to happen? Hey, look, Los Angeles last night played an opening night with the Lakers. How about on Friday night at home, the Los Angeles Dodgers naming Jack Flaherty as their Game 1 starting pitcher?
Impressive since coming across here for the Dodgers. They're going to need him to be that ace and some if they get off to a flying start. Game 1, Friday night, Dodger Stadium out here at Chavez Ravine. Dave Roberts putting a lot of confidence in young Flaherty. Let's see if he can step up to the mark and get it done going against the likes of a Garrett Cole. What a World Series this looks to be. Historic and some. Could be the most watched we've ever seen in the history of Major League Baseball, Donnie. In Jack Flaherty, we trust out here on the West Coast, best coast.
East Coast versus West Coast, and boy, the buy-in prices to get in to watch the Yankees and the Dodgers, astronomical to say the least. But a bit of sad news here. Fernando Valenzuela, who had Fernando mania in the early 80s, took Los Angeles by storm, actually came in the Major League Baseball, Dubsy, won Rookie of the Year and Cy Young in the same season here. He passes away at 63 years old on the verge of the World Series. I know he would have loved to have been there. They would have celebrated him. We'll do that on Friday, but boy, this was a massive icon in the Mexican culture heading into Major League Baseball that is now gone.
Yeah, more than just numbers and trophies, was truly an icon here in the sport, especially for Latino baseball. El Toro, what a player, what a fantastic career put together, and certainly will be missed. So the Dodgers playing for a bit of extra juice, a bit of extra gravy out there on Friday night as they get that World Series underway.
No, it is a shame. Like a little bit before my time when he really had that Fernando mania kicked in the early 80s, but certainly pitched a long time in Major League Baseball and an absolute icon. You just say the name Fernando Valenzuela, everybody knows exactly who that is. Only 63 years old. So it is a shame here, but he will be honored on Friday night at Dodger Stadium, as it should be. Fernando, certainly a legend. Let's get back to NBA talk. Opening night in the NBA. What actually happened? We'll talk about it next.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Betting is back in the NBA. Handicapping is back in the NBA. Watching the superstars back in the NBA. And also, sometimes you get opening night when all the superstars shine, which we had a lot. The Boston Celtics we'll get to in just a few moments. But the Los Angeles Lakers yesterday, Dubsy, a 110-103 victory over the Timberwolves. And it wasn't necessarily wire to wire because they didn't lead in the first quarter, but it just felt that the Lakers were in control this entire basketball game. And the one thing I liked about yesterday, taking the +1 with the Los Angeles Lakers, Dubsy, was the fact that they were completely healthy coming into game number one. We didn't have any minutes restrictions. LeBron James played 35 minutes. Anthony Davis played 38 minutes. And in his 38 minutes, 11 of 23 from the field, 13 of 15 from the free throw line, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 3 blocks, and 36 points yesterday for AD. Superstars were shining out there, which includes a father-son duo as well that joined the court in the first half here. Oh, it was legendary last night in L.A., Dubsy.
It was always going to happen, Donnie. Rip that Band-Aid off. Let's just get it out of the way. I was hoping to see a couple of points there from Bronny James. We didn't get that. Got out there for 3 minutes. Was yet to get a basket. But impressive performance from the Lakers. 110-103. Grabbing 1.5 there at home for the Minnesota Timberwolves. No Cat. So the question mark, how are they going to look opening night there, game one? And that was the only way to play the Lakers. At home, at Crypto, in their building. LeBron James trying to ball out with the young fella coming off the bench there. But I think there will be concern towards moving through the rest of the season. Longevity, depth, I just don't see it there for the Lakers. And this will be a sign of how they can win basketball games. The defense looked pretty strong. They're going to try and get after the low scorers, but they should be really, really, on that fringe mark and trying to make a push towards the playoffs. Every game matters. They got off to a flying start, 110-103. Anthony Davis putting up a 36-point performance. Very, very impressive there from the big fella, but time will tell. Can he get that durability moving through a very long, tough, and testing season in the association?
Yeah, Anthony Edwards played 41 minutes last night for the T-Wolves, went 10 of 25 from the floor, finished with 27 points. It wasn't good enough, but you know his usage rate, Dubs. He's going to be extremely high for this entire season. But let's focus on the things that matter to the NBA. Bronny James last night and LeBron James entered the basketball game at the same time, the first father-son duo in history to play together. It's absolutely wild to actually think about that and how it could happen. But at this time here, look, let's scroll down because you're going to have to scroll down pretty far to find out where Bronny James actually fit in. Technically played 3 minutes last night, 0 for 2 from the floor, did have a rebound, finished that game with a -5. Now, the show was you wanted to see history, and they got that. Was it contrived? Absolutely. But moving forward, how much Bronny James plays or how long he's actually going to be in the NBA as opposed to the G League here, we're going to find out. Dubsy, your thoughts on Bronny and LeBron getting in the game last night on opening night?
I mean, you could put me in the game and I'd come up with the same performance and the same stat sheet, 0 points. I hate to be that guy, but he's not a great basketball player. Maybe he develops into something. Obviously, they've bought in. They're playing the long game with Bronny, but really doesn't bring a lot to the table. He's a strong defender, really doesn't have that size or that presence. He's far from an electric scorer or, can get hot from beyond the arc there. So for Bronny, I think it's going to be a long season. We got this one out of the way. Let's move on. We got to get past this sideshow. Otherwise, the Lakers are not going to make a push towards the playoffs there. But in terms of what Bronny brings to the table, it's not a lot. Hate to be that guy. I don't want to be Debbie Downer here on a Wednesday morning, Donnie. But for LeBron James, maybe he's buoyed by having the young fella on the bench. We've seen it with Giannis and Thanasis having his brother. Maybe it's good vibes, good mojo that we're bringing to the building. In terms of what else is a basketball player, really yet to see it.
And by the way, for me, like Bronny James, he won the gene pool lottery. Nobody's going to ever feel bad for Bronny James because if he doesn't make it in the NBA, he still has the LeBron James fortune that's going to be passed down to him. He won it life, no doubt about it. But it also feels like it was a little bit contrived. The one thing I love about sports is organic. When big plays happen, big things happen, it is exciting. Last night was absolutely contrived. They probably talked about it for weeks on end. How is this going to come? Okay, second quarter, we'll both get in the game late. That way, there's not a lot on the line. We'll get our cheers and adulation. Because let's understand one thing. If LeBron James wanted to, he could probably have his daughter drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers and play with his daughter in an NBA game because of how much weight that is. Whether or not LeBron James plays in the NBA or how much longer he plays in there, that'll be fine. He's a legendary status guy, the single one or two best players of all time. But I just don't like the charade that we saw. Because if Bronny James, his last name was something like Bronny Smith, he wouldn't be in the NBA. He wouldn't be playing opening night. He wouldn't be with the Los Angeles Lakers. But that's LeBron James showing the power that he has over the Lakers organization. You will draft my son. He will be in the NBA. Who knows if he's going to play in the G League? And for all simple fact, the matter is, I want to have this moment. So it's another piece on my mantle that said, I'm the only player that was a father that had his son play with him in the NBA. It was a lot of contrived stuff last week. I'm glad it's out of the way now. But for the people retweeting of how great a moment it was a moment. Let's put it that way. How great it wasn't that great, Dubsy.
And Donnie, the old meme popping up. I know that there's a group chat outside of these two in the locker room for the Lakers there. I would make the argument, who's got more swing for their team? Is it Aaron Rodgers for the Jazz or is it LeBron James and the Lakers? Don't forget about it. He's got his podcast host as the head coach there, JJ Redick, and it's going to be a steep learning curve as you move through a very long season in the NBA in terms of what Bronny's bringing to the table there. It's a lot of expectation. Didn't step up to the mark, but for me, Donnie, I'd like to see it turn around, but I just don't think it's going to be a quick fix there. It really just doesn't have that athletic prowess that we've seen from the old man. It's tough to really gauge that stat sheet, but at least we got it out of the way. It would have been fantastic if he could just put up a bucket. Just give us a couple of points. We don't have to talk about when that's going to come. Another milestone there. But for the Lakers, they set out to achieve getting a victory. Opening night out here in Tinseltown, 110-103. Bronny didn't get to contribute to that side of things, but maybe picks up a couple of garbage minutes as we move through a very long season. But I'm not buying in, Donnie. I'm going to see a little something before I can have confidence in the James tandem, if you will.
Yeah, Bronny James placed on the McDonald's All-American team by his father. LeBron James placed him at USC. LeBron James placed him for the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James now up to place him back in the G League here because that's where he needs to get the attention to build his game. Bronny couldn't score in college. Bronny couldn't score in the preseason, and Bronny can't score in the NBA. Welcome, Bronny, to the NBA. We'll talk more NBA next.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hour number one in full effect right here on the early line, Sirius XM channel 159 and Stubbs and Donnie on a Wednesday morning, and we are just heating up. The topics rolling in. We just talked about the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves with Dubsy. Last night it was ring night, and I got to tell you, like sometimes they show like rings from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then we see the rings of today. I'm not even sure I can put these rings in my SUV, Dubsy, as I drive down the street without popping tires and actually doing wheelies. Those things are enormous. Did you get a look at that Celtics ring last night?
Whatever it takes, engraved there on the side of the ring. I think they look fantastic, Donnie. I believe they open up as well. They're that big. You can even open up the ring, and there's a little something on the inside. And how could you ever bet against the Celtics, dropping the banner there, banner number 18? They were fantastic. And these rings look absolutely dynamite. But you know when you see sometimes those diamonds, they look all flashy, they got all that pizzazz, but then they're about $50 at the jewelry store. I wonder if that's how much the going price is for these bad boys, Donnie. I need to get me one. I like that green. I like that green on the gold. Looks nice.
I'll tell you, man, you walk into a restaurant, you walk down the street, you go out to the movies, you wear that thing. My goodness, man, you're going to have somebody carry that behind you. It's like a disco ball on your finger. Now, last night we did have the pageantry in Boston as they raised the banner on yet another championship. And the question is, can they go back to back? Well, last night, if there's any indication, absolutely they can. 132-109 victory, which saw 43 first quarter points by the Boston Celtics. The game, Dubsy, basically over by the first. If we're looking at some of the statistics, we just told you. The Lakers made 5 3-point shots in their victory yesterday. The Celtics, 29 of 61, as they just missed out on a record because they couldn't find the net in the fourth quarter as they tried shooting to get that. Jason Tatum, 30 minutes, 37 points. Jaylen Brown played 30 minutes, 23 points. Derek White, 27 minutes, 24 points. They were getting it from all ends yesterday. Dubsy, they look so impressive. Porzingis didn't even play last night. It didn't matter. They were that much better than the New York Knicks.
And it turned out to be quite the novelty. They were just throwing up bricks once it was all said and done. 132-109. I remember going back 5, 6, 7 years, and if you heard 132 points scored by a team in the NBA, you'd be like, wow, what happened? But this is just a sign of the times. All these teams live and die by that three ball. And for the Boston Celtics, no surprise that they are the shortest price in the market to go back to back. And I thought they looked very impressive there last night. Dropping the banner, they're going to have that good juju. And they also had that motivation coming off a pretty long summer over there at Paris, a couple of snubs at the Olympics, so a couple of superstars trying to show out, and they absolutely got that there. Jason Tatum putting up a 37-point piece performance to lead the way there for the Celtics. I tell you what, if they got that three ball working through a long season, Donnie, they're going to be very tough in trying to topple. For the Knicks, new faces in new places. It's going to take him a little time to really get that chemistry going in the right direction. But no surprises, the Celtics get the score there for the Knicks. Still plenty of promise. It's a long season. Let's see how long it's going to take for them to get things going in full stride.
Yeah, you can't win an NBA championship on night number one, but boy, that was a good step in the right direction for the Boston Celtics right out of the gate. And you're right, Dubsy, about the New York Knicks. Miles Bridges, Karl-Anthony Towns coming over. It's going to take some time for them to sort of mold that franchise and say, all right, who's going to get the basketball at what times? Brunson only played 25 minutes last night, but was 9 of 14 from the floor, 22 total points. Bridges took a while to get going here. He finishes 7 of 13 from the floor for 16 points. And then Karl-Anthony Towns, 24 minutes, 5 of 9 from the floor for 12 points. They were certainly outclassed up and down yesterday, which brings up now the Eastern Conference odds. Should we even have those at one point? Why aren't the Celtics already a minus money price to actually win the East? They're plus 160, followed by the Knicks, who they beat last night at a plus 370. The Sixers at a 5-1 price. The one thing we have to understand is you can't win the Eastern Conference in the regular season. So you see the price points here. Yes, the Knicks got beat. They're going to be a fine team this year. The Sixers are opening up the season without 2 of their 3 top players, but they're still listed at a plus 500 price at this point. So Dubsy, is it the Celtics or bust here in the Eastern Conference?
It really is. And, the team that stands out with a bit of value, it's probably the Pacers for me. We saw that they can score at a very high clip at the back end of last season. You got the likes of Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, but it really does feel like it's going to be the Celtics. If you're looking to jump in and find a bit of value, you can still craft up those exactas, what the NBA Finals is really going to look like. But I've got the top 2 teams looking very similar to what we saw at the back end of last year. I think it's the Celtics. Really good chance of going back-to-back. They've got the roster, they've got the team, they've got the depth, and now they've got that swagger of just coming off and getting those fantastic pizzazzy rings, if you will, Donnie.
Yeah, I like it. The NBA is back here. Now, the regular season, how meaningful is it? But, boy, betting on a night-to-night basis, so much fun in the NBA. Coach James Young joins us next. Let's talk more NBA action.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best 2 ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
NBA action, it's fantastic. Opening night last night, a doubleheader. It is Donnie Rightside this morning. It's Stubbs Anderson. And now the coach, James Young, joins us here. Ooh, we got a long haul that started last night. Coach, how excited are we that the NBA is officially back in our lives?
I mean, I was excited until the Celtics hit another three. Oh, wait, they hit another three. Oh, wait, they hit another three. Oh, wait, they just hit another three. Good morning, gentlemen.
Love it here. And by the way, the NBA usually doesn't miss in big spots and big moments yesterday, and I don't think they did. The pageantry in Boston last night, raising the banner up to the rafters. It's ring night there. You thought it might be a little bit of a slow start because how emotional it will be for the Celtics and extra time on the court when you know athletes are regimented, JY. They had to wait around a little bit longer. 43 points in the first quarter. They were shooting daggers, Coach, right off the bat. What did we see last night in that 132-109 victory for the Boston Celtics from your perspective?
Elite shooting, Donnie, and when you think about it as a coach, and this is what I want people to understand, and I'm a Knicks fan, I'm really trying not to have my glasses on here. There are times when you play a team and they literally do not miss. This team didn't miss last night. And usually it's weird, Donnie, because you make up a good point, because usually when you raise the banner, there's usually some kind of fatigue because of the whole celebration. It didn't seem to work for Boston, dropping 43 points in the first quarter. And if you really think about it, they shot 29 of 61 from three, right? Just take out the bench guys, right? Tillman, 0 for 3, right? Hauser, 2 of 7. 1 of 9 for Pritchard, 0 for 1 for Walsh, right? So that's, what is it? That's 3 for 20. So, okay. So the starter shot 26 for 41 from 3. Do people understand? Those are video game numbers. So if you are New York, you are like, good for you. They shot it great. You can't panic. And in Boston's case, it was tremendous shooting. And the key thing that I saw is, and I was on with K-Dub last night, and I mentioned to him, Tatum took the hitch out. Kevin didn't think it's a big deal. As a coach, and you know this, Donnie, as a player, taking a hitch out of a shot is most effective from deep, because now you're shooting it at the top of your elevation. And I'll tell you what, if Jason Tatum's going to shoot 8 for 11 every night from 3, it don't matter who Dubs he likes with Indiana, or I like New York, or you like Philadelphia. We might as well all go home if they're going to shoot like that every night.
Coach, what would be the concern going through a long season, or did you see enough last night? I mean, the odds makers are telling us it's all about the Boston Celtics. Everyone else is playing catch up. But what could be the concern? What could bring them undone in trying to go back-to-back?
Honestly, Dubsy, when you shoot 61 out of your 95 attempts from 3, that's your problem. When the games tighten up in the playoffs and you play a team maybe 7 times and they know all your tendencies, you play them 5 times if you're in New York, or 4 times if you're in New York or Philadelphia in a regular season, you tend to start to get tendencies, right? So you hope that teams don't shoot the ball well. Listen, this is the outlier. This is what, the NBA, they probably enjoyed it in regards to fandom. As a coach, I hated last night. There was no, it was Chuck and Duck, and they didn't have to duck because they made everything. So listen, Dubsy, they're the class of the NBA. We knew this going in. They're going to be only better once they get Porzingis back. Injuries, cold shooting, and a team that can get physical enough with them, and the inside is going to make them pay. That's why, although I still think it's the Knicks in the East are going to challenge them, if Philadelphia can stay healthy, if Joel Embiid can play and not be injured in the playoffs, they probably pose the biggest threat because of the fact that they could throw it inside and he's going to bully ball Porzingis and Al Horford.
We take a look at the Eastern Conference and how it sits here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Coach, and you're right. It's an 82-game season. If you're just basing off of one game, well, the Knicks would be 33-1 to win the Eastern Conference because they obviously can't play up to the Boston Celtics. We'll see how it plays out. And also keep in mind, Celtics didn't even have Porzingis in that game last night. The Knicks will be just fine. They're listed at a plus 370 price. The Sixers, who are not going to have two of their three best players on the court for the foreseeable future, whether that means a game or two or weeks at this time, we know the NBA usually doesn't let us know that information right off the bat. But if we are surmising the Eastern Conference, it was a great start here for the Celtics at plus 160. But I know you're always locked in with the Knicks, Coach. Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, Brunson, Hart. It does take some time to meld on the court. What did you see out of the Knicks moving forward? Because you know what I like too? McBride, right back in form, Coach. 26 minutes, 8 of 10 from the floor, giving you that instant energy off the bench with 22 points. They'll be fine. As you said, Coach, they shot 55% last night, 37% from three-point range, and got blown out. On a normal night, that's the Knicks winning and covering the spread.
Absolutely, Donnie. I think that's a key thing, and it's a couple things you want to look at for New York. Number one, they went inside the Cat. One thing I did not like is I think Brunson's got to get you more than 2 or 3 assists. Like he's got to get more guys involved. Bridges shot it one way first half, shot it a different way second half. All right, Mikal, shoot it the way you did in the second half, not the first half. And then obviously there's going to be some discussions on what they're going to do. Josh Hart made some interesting comments last week about being kind of lost and doesn't know where he fits in. I thought one of the easiest plays, I said to K-Dub last night, was Deuce McBride over 9.5 points because DiVincenzo's gone. Right, Josh Hart isn't a scorer, and you could play those two guards and Brunson and Deuce together in the backcourt because Deuce is actually a pretty solid defender. So to me, if they keep hanging Deuce McBride about 9.5 points, he's going to be the one that's going to benefit the most from Dante DiVincenzo leaving because they don't have the guard depth on. If you really think about it, like you could say that. I mean, Hart is more of a small forward if you would say anything. So. He's probably New York's second best guard, and the third best guard to me, maybe Tyler Cole.
James getting in the mix. It was Anthony Davis, though, who lifted the Lakers to greatness, putting up a 36-point performance. But let's start with Bronny, King James. What did you make of the father-son duo? Pretty special out here in the West Coast last night.
Hey, listen, it was a beautiful sight to see for all of 3 minutes of it. So they kind of scripted it to get him in the game. Listen, they did it in the second quarter when it wasn't going to be too much of the outcome. So, listen, I have no problem with it. It was a sizable moment. It was big for the NBA. But there are things here when you talk about LA, which I think we need to discuss. Number one, they won the game shooting 5 of 30 from 3. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. You cannot do that often and win in the NBA. But there's a couple of things I really liked about what J.J. Redick did. Number one, put Rui Hachimura in the starting lineup. I loved his prop. I think it was at 11.5. I thought he was going to smash it. If I'm not mistaken, guys, I think he hit it in the first half. I think he had 14 or so in the first half. And then it's obviously the play of Anthony Davis. Listen, simply put, this has to become AD's team, Dubsy. You're out there in L.A. You understand this. As great as LeBron is, Anthony Davis has to be the bell carrier. He's got to be the one that leads and lifts up that team. I think that's a very good showing out of AD, good showing out of Hachimura. Everyone else, not so much. Austin Reeves, good all-around game. But to me, this is more of an indictment of I think Minnesota is going to miss Cat more than the Knicks are going to miss Randall.
Coach, let's take a look quickly at the Los Angeles Lakers. You play Anthony Davis 38 minutes last night, LeBron James 35 minutes. We've heard it in the past. You can't play these guys too much because you need them healthy for the playoffs. But the problem is you need these guys to win basketball games just to get to the playoffs. How do the Lakers handle that this season?
Pray they stay healthy. That's all we can do is say some prayers because I don't know if they're going to be able to make it with those big minutes.
The coaches here and a lot more NBA talk. We got a full slate coming up on deck. I need the coaches' thoughts and opinions on who wins, who loses tonight, and more. Hot topics next right here on the Early Line. Stay tuned.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Donnie?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, we are bringing the heat this morning on the Early Line on a Wednesday, Sirius XM Channel 159. Donnie Rightside, Dubs Anderson, and the coach, James Young, in the middle, helping us out. And, Coach, I need help already. I just need help already. We're going to flash a graphic up here that shows a tweet from Shams Charania. And he's stating what every Philadelphia 76ers fan probably thought was going to be the case, but hoping, Coach, that it wasn't. Joel Embiid and Paul George are out for the opener versus the Bucks on Wednesday. Embiid is progressing well and ramping up, scrimmaging this week. He will not play this week. George will be reevaluated later in the week. I just want to start here. Joel Embiid is so important to the Philadelphia 76ers, Coach. When he is right, one of the best players in basketball. So what do the Sixers do? Hey, look, you get the whole offseason. Relax, get ready, ramp up. We're going to need you this season. They allow him to go to the Olympics, where he plays in that entire Olympic training camp, plays the entirety of the Olympics, and then all of a sudden, we're not sure if he has a knee injury or he's ramping up as if he didn't know his job was to play in an NBA season. Coach, help me out on the Sixers. I'm already struggling right now, please.
Donnie, I can't, Donnie. It's truly amazing that this happened. And the fact that this is happening on game one tells you all you need to know. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to talk about this in the Betting Above the Rim podcast that will come out tomorrow. Joel Embiid, if he's healthy and plays 75 games a year, is the best player in the world. The only reason why I can't put him the best player in the world is he doesn't play enough. He's always injured, and he never makes it to the end of the season. So what do? We let him play in the Olympics. Not only does he play in the Olympics, he plays big minutes in the Olympics and plays an important role as they ramp him up. So they ramp him up for the Olympics, and now we got to ramp him back up for the regular season. Paul George is another one that often has injury history, and this is the problem with Philadelphia. Donnie, when they're right, like I said, they're the biggest contenders to Boston in the East. I don't think it's even close. And if they are healthy, you told me, Coach, you're going to get 75 games, and they're going to be healthy through the playoffs. I just think Philadelphia could win the NBA championship because Paul George, as a number 3 guy, is so scary. I don't think people still realize. They saw it in the playoffs. They don't realize how good Maxey is. I still think he's underrated as a player. So they need to get right. But it's amazing because who's coming into town? Doc Rivers. Oh, by the way, Chris Middleton's hurt too. So I mean, we're in full middle of the season mode, Donnie, on game one.
Not good enough. Not good enough. Kelly Oubre, Paul George, couple of concerns already. Is that enough on the betting side of things, Coach, to maybe approach with caution, wait until we get sort of, a little further into the regular season, really get an understanding of how the 76ers are going to look and if they do have, I guess, that depth to make a bit of a tilt at this thing?
Yeah, because Dubsy, we don't know when these guys are going to come back, so I can't be comfortable betting a win total for the Sixers. I'd rather wait it out. Maybe to get off to a slow start, they drop the win total, and when I know they're going to come back, then you jump on them. The East is so amazing because I know you guys talked about it before I came on, but like if you really think about it, right? There's Boston, there's obviously New York, Philadelphia. New York and Philadelphia have concerns, right? Milwaukee's got concerns. So where do you start looking around? Dubsy, you like the Pacers? I'm not a big fan of them because of the defensive end. It's that team at 16-1 that's intriguing. Why? Because the president and the CEO of the Kenny Atkinson fan club is Coach Young. That is me. I'm the guy. I may be one of one, but I don't care. I'm still the one. I love Kenny Atkinson with this team because I think you get a better coach and a guy that's really good at getting young talent. Look what he did in Brooklyn with D'Lo, with LeVert. Oh, by the way, LeVert's with him now. With Jared Allen. Oh, by the way, Jared Allen's with him. Dimwitty. I like this team, Cleveland. 16-1, maybe a little bit of a sleeper pick, but more likely now they're plus 135, I think, to win the Central Division, and they get Cleveland they go to Toronto on the road, minus 6.5-point favorites. And guys, I think they absolutely roll them tonight.
There you go. By the way, let's take a look at some of those games tonight in Philadelphia, and rightfully so. The Sixers are basically Tyrese Maxey and the boys taking on the Milwaukee Bucks. Doc Rivers does come back to town. The Philadelphia 76ers were a favorite to open. Now, of course, they're the underdog at minus 3.5 points as a favorite towards the Milwaukee Bucks in a total of 223.5. Is it Maxey has to go for 40 tonight to give the Sixers a chance? What gives tonight in Philadelphia?
Well, being at his 30-plus points is at even money, Donnie, he's going to have to give you at least 30 tonight. And honestly, if you think about it, who on the other side on Milwaukee can slow down Maxey? Damian Lillard?
Oh, Drew Holiday would have been able to do that, Coach.
Yeah, Drew Holiday would have been able to do that, but they got Damian Lillard over there now. And Damian Lillard don't play no lick of defense. So right now, one of my best bets of the night, Tyrese Maxey, 30-plus points at even money on the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Oh, dishing out dimes? Dishing out dimes? All right,
Nice.
Coach, the pressure builds out here on the West Coast. Clippers at home taking on the Phoenix Suns for the Clippers. New building out there at the Dome. I'm still queuing up trying to get tickets, but how do you see this one shaking out? Kawhi Leonard, I mean, where do we even start with this guy? Will we even see him this year?
This is an even better one than Embiid because this guy gets pulled from playing the Olympics and he still can't play. So that's just amazing. Let's simply put, Tyronn Lue is one of the best coaches in the league. But listen, a good friend of mine always said, coaching don't win. Talent wins. This is a talent efficiency matchup here. Phoenix, healthy, 5-point favorites. They go on the road. They roll the Clippers. Clippers win total under 35.5 wins. I can't believe I'm saying this with a Tyronn Lue team, but he doesn't have the horses. Clippers will not make the playoffs, and they go under 35.5 wins.
How about that, Coach? And also, I saw an interview between Shams Charania yesterday and also James Harden. His eyes are lighting up because he knows it's like the Houston Rocket days once again. Give me a Harden outlook this season and that usage rate.
Yeah. What did Fat Joe say? All the way up. Harden goes shoot it all the way up. The problem is will he make enough? That's going to be the problem.
Yeah, Dubsy, as you pointed out too, you're taking a look at that new dome opening up there, $2 billion plus here. The fan wall, is that going to be enough to have home court advantage? We will certainly find out. But you know what our home court advantage is? It's having the coach with us all the time on the early line right here on the SportsGrid Network. Take that fade away in the break, Coach. Let's have it.
Guardians, despite being at home in the land, were a home underdog against Tarek Skubal. Enter Lane Thomas, maybe one of the under-the-radar trade deadline acquisitions being dealt from the Nationals. He was huge in the ALDS.
A heavy favorite for the New York Yankees in the series. You're going to look to their best two ball players to be those MVPs. That's Juan Soto and it's Aaron Judge.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all season long.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We don't even have any NFL action today, but in the NFL, it's 24/7, it's 365. As we started the show today with already a wide receiver on the move. That's one, DeAndre Hopkins going from the Tennessee Titans over to the Kansas City Chiefs. But could we have more of these moves coming up? It's Donnie Rightside, it's Stubbs Anderson. Let's get to the NFL. Diana Rossini with a tweet. The Rams have called multiple teams about trading former Super Bowl MVP Cooper Kupp. Sources tell Mike Silver and Jordan Rodriguez and me, the Rams have indicated a willingness to take on some 24 salary and are seeking a second-round pick here. Cooper Kupp, Dubsy, when healthy, one of the best wide receivers in football. Is it a smart move that the Rams are looking to move on to recoup some of that draft capital and move on with their franchise?
A sign of the times, Donnie. You win a Super Bowl, and we're going to see these lingering effects going through the next 2, 3, 4 years. But for the Rams, this wouldn't be great. I mean, Cooper Kupp, as you highlighted, when he is healthy, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Still got plenty of upside, still got plenty of production. Haven't been in the mix since week 2. They've been dealing with a little niggling injury. But for the Rams, if they still want to stay relevant, competitive, I know they're 2-4 going in to week 8 here for Thursday Night Football. They need Cooper Kupp in the mix. It's not enough just to have your number one in Puka Nacua. Once he's back, they're fully fit and healthy. But for me, Cooper Kupp, I'd be trying to hold on to him. But for any other outside looking in, this will be a fantastic addition. If you're sitting right around 500, trying to make a little playoff push going through the back half of the year, Cooper Kupp would be a very, very welcome in that wide receiving room. Plenty of upside and always one of the more professional players in terms of how he approaches the game. So I'd like to see it. I'd like to see him stay out here on the West Coast, but for Cooper Kupp, could be headed to greener pastures.
Got to be proactive as a franchise. Like, if you see this season playing out, they're 2-4, as you said, Dubsy. They're going to play a good football team on Thursday night. You're 2-5. I don't think you're making the playoffs, and it's time to maybe look towards the future. Maybe Cooper Kupp isn't a part of that. Why? Because the Rams now also, from an Adam Schefter tweet, are designating wide receiver Puka Nacua for return from IR. That's the future. That's the young guy that's going to carry you through for the next 5 to 10 years of your franchise, and hopefully he's going to be a dominant player. But also, if you do pick up a win on Thursday night, you're now 3-4. Nacua coming back. Cooper Kupp obviously back into the fold. Maybe it's time to hold on to those players. So it is interesting to see how this is going to play out, Dubsy. But Puka, he's going to come back into the fold sooner than later.
Yeah, and Puka Nacua, I mean, he was absolute revelation last season. I know he won a lot of fantasy leagues out there for the bettors. And look, plenty of upside. He was underrated coming out of the draft there, but certainly looks to be a fantastic product for the Rams, and certainly something they could build around there moving through the next couple of years. They've got that run game to lay that foundation. Kyron Williams, he's been absolutely fantastic. But for Matty Stafford, you want the one 2-3 punch if you can keep it, but it looks like time is ticking. Cooper Kupp, he could be on the move, and Puka Nakua could be getting set for his big return. So get ready to put him in those lineups.
Tubbs, anytime I hear a franchise is thinking about moving on from their superstar players, how do you buy in on that? Because if you look at the Rams at the FanDuel Sportsbook, team win total 6.5, which means 7 has to cash. If you're trading away Puka Nakua, who says you're not going to trade away other players on that team and not sending your white flag up? The playoffs are a long shot at a plus 610 price. The NFC West to win, that's a 10-1 here, and the worst record in the NFL at 31-1. Is there any buy-in opportunities, Tubbs, for you with those Rams?
No, I think it's a pretty grim outlook, starting with Thursday Night Football. The Vikings, they're one of the best teams right down the mix. Then they go on the road to take on the Seattle Seahawks up there in Seattle and then welcome in the Dolphins. So there's a very good chance that they don't even pick up a win going through the next 3, and it certainly would be enough to sell the farm, shop up, move on to the next one. Tough beat, tough out, but no, it's not a great outlook for the Rams at this point of the season. Unfortunately, Donnie, with so much parity in the National Football League, injury, health, you need a bit of a good rub, especially at this point of the season. 49ers don't have it, the Rams don't have it, so it's been tough sledding early.
I'll tell you what's going to be nuts, too, because you look at that line on Thursday night. Minnesota finally took their first loss of the season, but still a quality team. Only a 3-point favorite here at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Even some outlets, Stubbsy, already down to a 2.5. Total in that game listed at 48.5. The last stand for the Rams Thursday night, Stubbsy. Quick preview from you. Did they get it done? Can they hang around? What happens?
No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be a big bounce back for the Vikings. I think there's levels to this thing. And, as Coach said with the NBA, they just don't have the horses. I just don't think the Rams have the health. I don't think they have the pieces. McVay's obviously one of my favorite head coaches in the business. He can scheme up with the best of them, but I just think that's a really fishy line. I'm leaning towards the Vikings at a primetime spot. I just don't think the Rams have the weapons.
By the way, you saw that graphic that just popped up on the screen. Number 23, Kyron Williams. Yeah, he's that good, but can he carry the Rams? Probably not. More NFL talk next right here on the Early Line.
Look, Aaron Rodgers, it does seem like he really enjoys, people like us, Vinny, talking about him.
I don't know what's going on here with Aaron Rodgers. I think there's some frustration settling in, and the Jets were not supposed to be this bad of a defense, right? They've had a lot of injuries. Maybe that's the thing here. Robert Saleh's influence is there. I know they have their defensive coordinator running things, but now he's distracted.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
When you talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks, offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, 2 mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage.